Japan Travel Smart Podcast is an original, standalone media project. We remain unaffiliated with any travel agency service or similar commercial venture. This is Japan Travel Smart. My name's Johnny, and I hope you join me to discover a better Japan travel experience. Welcome back to Japan Travel Smart. This is your travel companion Johnny, and this is journey number 28, the konbini and Japanese supermarket geek-out episode. Japan Travel Smart is a bi-weekly podcast all about the joy of travel through Japan, far and wide, from the perspective of a frequent visitor who just can't get enough of the place that does it best. I'm here to spark your curiosity and offer inspiration to experience Japan's overlooked attractions and their charms, to equip you with the tools to better approach the logistics of your trip, and an always fresh perspective on the ever-changing Japan travel landscape. Whether it's your first trip or your 50th, let's uncover the secrets that make Japan a traveler's paradise. Ready for the journey? Let's go. It's strange on its face, but it also makes sense. The Japanese convenience store has come to be its very own attraction for visitors to this country. They're ubiquitous, well-stocked, and the quality of what you find is really good. Anyone in Japan can tell you their favorite chain and favorite item. Supermarkets are also an alternative you should be looking into, even as a tourist who's primarily looking out for snacks, drinks, and ready-to-enjoy meals. Supermarkets are actually a very comparable experience with a few advantages of their own. Convenience stores and supermarkets are where most of us will be resolving the matter of breakfast on most of our days in Japan, and possibly dinner as well on a few of the days where we don't feel like dining out. It'll definitely pay off to have advanced knowledge of what to expect at these establishments, how they differ from each other, and, crucially, what to expect and look out for when interacting with clerks so things always go smoothly for you. We're all going to cover it here in your definitive guide to konbini and supermarkets in Japan. In a similar manner to convenience stores, supermarkets in Japan are dominated by a number of prominent chains to look out for. We are actually going to go through the biggest konbini and supa franchises by name and give them all their due. But first, for those of you who are already familiar with konbini, let's go over the key differences that set them apart. First off, a lot of the supermarkets in Japan now offer self-checkout lanes, to the point where it may be considered the default option. But if you've been to Japan before, you probably know that for most convenience stores, there is no true self-checkout. It's more like self-pay after your clerk has scanned your items. There are konbini in some regions where it's still standard to handle payment with a cashier. But generally these days, you can expect to choose your payment option and drop your cash or swipe your card, all on the touchscreen machine, besides the register, after they've scanned all of your items. If you're instead at a supermarket, you can expect this muscle memory shift. You scan and bag everything yourself at big touchscreen kiosks, with English selection available in many urban stores. Manned registers exist, but lines are shorter at some chains because most people can self-check. It's faster once you're used to it. What about getting your bentos and pre-made meals heated and obtaining your utensils? As you've probably experienced with konbini, it's a fully hands-off service. The clerk offers to microwave the meal behind the counter, and they also offer and hand out utensils. It all depends on your haul. You may not even realize that you could use some utensils or heating until they offer it to you at checkout. But if you're at a supermarket, you won't be offered heating at the register. You either take the bento cold, or, in stores that have one, use the customer microwave available after checkout. Utensils are found on a rack nearby. You generally grab chopsticks, spoons, and forks yourself. Don't forget to get them if you will need them. Many supermarkets do skip these offerings entirely. For most of you, it's not likely to be a big deal to take a cold bento out of the supermarket when you know you'll have access to a microwave at your accommodation. Because shopping bags are charged now in Japan, you are offered shopping bags at checkout at konbini. You may also be offered a shopping bag at supermarkets that charge for them, but it's also expected to bag things yourself after the register or at the self-checkout station. Many supermarkets have a dedicated bagging area or free thin bags you can take post-payment. This feels more like Western supermarkets, and you're in charge of the packing step. Supermarkets may be a bit difficult to navigate at first with the larger floor space and selection, especially for those of you who are already pretty familiar with the consistent, unchanging layout of convenience stores nationwide. At first, you may be having to walk a few laps around the supermarkets to find what you're looking for, but bear with that. You'll get used to them. Also, do keep in mind that supermarkets have standard hours of operation, while konbini are often open 24 hours. Convenience stores are the real winner when you're up early in the day and needing to grab something. Other than that, you can always feel free to seek out a supermarket for the same reason you'd want to pick out food at the konbini. So why would you want to visit a supermarket in Japan during your trip as opposed to convenience stores all the time? For starters, supermarkets tend to have lower prices and better value. Konbini prices have risen notably over the years, but supermarkets offer the same items, especially prepared foods like onigiris, bentos, and salads, for 20 to 40% less. The small format mini supermarkets like My Basket are now openly called konbini killers because they deliver supermarket pricing with near konbini convenience, including the same style of ready-made microwavable dinners where savings really add up. Supermarkets have a far wider selection. Konbini stock an average of 3,000 items with heavy emphasis on snacks and ready-to-eat. Personally, I don't cook during my visits, but for those of you who want to prepare even just simple meals or looking to eat healthier during your trip here, it's likely that you'll quickly find limitations in konbini's selection and prepackaged offerings. Supermarkets tend to stock regional specialties and better quality ready-to-eat items, as opposed to konbini, which tend to offer a consistent experience regardless of where you are in the country. Many travelers do report that after repeat visits, supermarket deli sections feel like a revelation. Maybe if you're a big fan of the konbini ready-made sandwiches and rely on them a lot, you might struggle a bit to see the supermarket stocking the same type of sandwich as well. But other than that, you can expect a very comparable snack selection at a supermarket. Many supermarkets include in-store pharmacies, larger household goods sections, including kitchen and grooming items, and sometimes even clothing or stationery, which you can expect to be cheaper than the same items at konbini. People still love konbini for late-night emergencies or quick drinks, but locals actively rely on supermarkets for regular shopping, especially lately now that the price gap has widened. It's easy to find the nearest supermarket if you simply use supermarket as the search term on your preferred Maps application. Let's introduce some of the major supermarket chains in Japan so you know what to look out for on your next visit. You'll be mostly covered after knowing about these, but you may also stumble upon strong regional and cooperative options. And of course, there are also upscale supermarkets that may not necessarily be what you wanted in terms of savings, even though they do tend to stock unique and interesting stuff, like imports. The upscale supas include many locations in department store basements or depachika. They will also come up as supermarkets in your search results, and they feel premium but are pricier. As for standard supas, the most widespread ones are under the Aeon group. You may already be familiar with their malls. Aeon is Japan's largest overall retail group. Aeon is most widely recognized by its signature magenta or hot pink branding. You don't have to go to an Aeon mall to get to an Aeon supermarket, though. You can find Aeon MaxValu, which are their mid-size, everyday supermarkets, and which are very prolific. And, crucially, you can find My Basket, currently with over 1,200 stores, expanding rapidly to 2,500 by 2030. Found in the densest urban areas, My Basket is compact like a konbini, but with fresh produce, meat, and supermarket prices. The one most often called a konbini killer. It's perfect for tourists. Be sure to look out for those bright discount stickers on bentos after 7 p.m. Next up, we have Seiyu, which is actually owned by a major North American retail corporation. Seiyu are everyday low-price supermarkets, strong in Tokyo and other major cities, known for consistent bargains and English signage in many urban locations. Seiyu is the everyday low-price champion, often the cheapest overall basket for a grocery haul. The Seiyu branding is the Seiyu wordmark in a distinctive Persian red. The store also tends to use bright yellow banners and shelf tags, with arguably the most bargain-focused visuals of any chain. The same parent company from 7-Eleven also has supermarkets, most notably Ito-Yokado, a classic full-sized offering. Ito-Yokado is recognized by their iconic white dove logo inside a square frame. Life Corporation is a mid-tier chain popular for fresh food and reasonable prices, very common in the Kanto and Kansai regions where international tourists visit. They offer strong value and often undercut Seiyu on fresh items. The Life supermarket branding features a green 4-leaf clover logo, which is very easy to spot from a distance. And then there's Co-op. Co-op are a member-based cooperative supermarket. They've got excellent quality, and they're often cheaper for staples and strong on organic and local products. You don't need to be a member to shop in these suburban offerings. Their basic branding and look vary by region, but Co-op supas tend to use a clean, rounded word mark that's easy on the eyes. As a foreign tourist in a major Japanese city, it's probably going to be either a My Basket or a MaxValu that is nearest to you, and that offers the best mix of convenience store location density and supermarket prices and selection. If you're in Tokyo especially, any of the aforementioned chains could be available to you, including Seiyu. You really need to venture far, so be sure to check them out. Did you know that for the Japanese convenience store industry, total transactions dipped slightly in 2025? People have been taking notice of the higher prices and competition from many supermarkets. In urban centers where you're likely to accommodate, you can expect smaller mini supermarket formats like My Basket and their rival stores squeezed into buildings or underground. In suburban areas, this is where you get the classic big box experience, full-sized Aeon, Ito-Yokado, or Life, with huge produce sections and parking space. In rural areas, it's much sparser. You'll see local co-op branches. In very remote areas, konbini or independent stores become the default, unless you want to drive to the nearest Aeon mall. One of the great things about supermarkets, in addition to konbini, is that they both accept all major payment options, including plastic, smartphone app, and IC cards in nearly all cases. It's very reassuring that you basically don't worry about payment acceptance, unlike with most other types of businesses or public transport service in Japan. at least for konbini and supas, you can reliably expect to be able to use your contactless payment option in smartphone at 99% of them, though not quite literally 100%. I am looking at you, Tamade Supas in southern Osaka. Now, it's time to cover every major convenience store chain in Japan and what sets them apart. Konbini are easy to find. There's always one near you, and their branding is prominent, which makes them highly recognizable. More often than not, the convenience store you will end up using will be one of the following three: 7-Eleven, Family Mart, or Lawson. Why? Together, these three account for about 90% of the tens of thousands of total konbini across Japan. The smaller chains will offer us even more variety, but I would say that for 99% of your use cases as visitors, the konbini closest to you is the best one, and the closest one is likely to be one of the big three. 7-Eleven. The originator of the konbini concept in Japan, so it's the oldest. Also the largest in number of stores and in sales. Absolutely not to be confused with the overseas iteration in terms of concept and vibes. 7-Eleven in Japan is the quintessential Japanese-style convenience store, and it's the most reliable for sure. Signature items include top-tier bento boxes and onigiri, which are widely considered the highest quality and most consistent. They've got excellent sandwiches and the best selection of premium private brand items that are just as good as the national brand options. If you were wondering, 7-Eleven is my personal favorite konbini chain with all things considered. Not only do I regard them as consistent due to location count, but also they are the ones that reliably stock cocoa drink, which is my go-to in the mornings, which can't be said for others. I also really enjoy 7-Eleven's private brand items. Their zero-calorie fizzy drinks are cheaper than the brand options sharing the shelf. I also love to pick up their matcha chip cookies, which are my favorites and so easy to enjoy on the go. Family Mart. Family Mart, or simply Famima, is another great konbini chain, and home to perhaps the most famous of signature konbini foods, Famichiki, the juicy, crispy fried chicken from the counter, which I personally find to be super overrated, but this is the one that locals and tourists fight over. In any case, Family Mart is known to have a strong, hot food counter and fresh deli items. Make no mistake, Famima is huge, and they're also prone to do exclusive collaborations and merch campaigns with popular media franchises. Famima has a very pleasing and welcoming color scheme of pastel green and blue. You can always expect clean, bright stores and good ready-to-eat salads and sandwiches. Family Mart is actually my favorite to pick up ready-to-enjoy salads. This is why I often find myself sliding between 7-Eleven and Famima if I can. I think they do carry the freshest salads, and I prefer Famima's concept of picking a salad without any dressing included, and then picking your favorite flavor of dressing from a separate packet. If you're determined to keep to a budget, you got their cabbage-based salads, which is what they often do to complement a standard bento. Up next, we have Lawson. Lawson is another franchise that actually originated overseas, but is now headquartered in Tokyo. Lawson is the chain that really dials into themed collaborations and limited edition snacks more than any other. Lawson is also at the bleeding edge with technological innovation. They rolled out an AI demand forecasting system to manage stock nationwide. They also opened a futuristic pilot store in Tokyo with AI cameras that track what you pick up, as well as screen avatar clerks. Their app-based delivery service is in widespread use. They also innovate with food items. They've introduced a frozen onigiri option that can be sold for cheaper. Some of their tech innovations are perhaps a bit gimmicky and experimental, but I really do prefer self-checkout to be the standard. As for signature foods, Lawson has their Uchi Cafe sweets line, especially the premium roll cake, which is creamy and cafe quality. They also maintain a sub-brand called Natural Lawson that reliably stocks organic, gluten-free, and vegan options. For this reason, Lawson is perhaps the most forward-thinking chain, with a slightly more upscale konbini feel, and with prices and markups to match, so keep that in mind. Let's talk about prominent convenience store chains that you might also encounter outside of the big three. Ministop. Ministop is actually part of the massive Aeon group, and it's highly recognizable with its yellow and blue motif and logo. Ministop is often noted for its in-store kitchen that fries hot foods like karaage fried chicken to order. Their signature offering is their soft-serve ice cream made with Hokkaido raw milk and a whole menu of flavors. Ministop also stands out with the amount of locations offering eat-in seating, which is a relatively rare feature in konbini, but always appreciated by visitors on the move. Ministop leans into a hybrid concept of convenience store and fast food counter, putting more effort into hot food and dessert items. Personally, I don't go to Ministops often, but visitors and residents swear by the quality on portions of their ready-to-eat food compared to the big three. Daily Yamazaki. Daily Yamazaki convenience stores are best regarded for their bakery section, including freshly baked breads and pastries. They're owned by Japan's largest bakery company, so their daily hot in-store bakery is genuinely fresh and said to be the best of any chain. I'm not that familiar with it, but even then, there's no shortage of amazing, dedicated bakeries in Japan, so Daily Yamazaki have their work cut out for them. The one thing I do have them noted for is their slight markups for equivalent standard konbini items. I don't indulge in pastries much, so I never found myself visiting this one very often. New Days. New Days is a convenience store that you're only going to be seeing if you're traveling on JR lines and using JR stations, which international tourists certainly do use, so it's a given that you'll become familiar with them. New Days uses a familiar color palette of shades of green, and they're often found in and around JR East train stations, large and small, even including on the train station's platforms. Their placements make them a highly convenient option to stop by on your way to catch the train, as long as you're aware of the expected markups. They're pretty much meant for you to use if you're already past the ticket gates and you are forgetting to buy something. One time, I didn't have enough on my fare card to actually leave the station, and I used the New Days to essentially break a bill to top up my fare card when the fare adjustment machine wasn't giving change. The New Days are typically tiny, and you're going to find very standard konbini fare with nothing too unique, but with a stronger focus on easy snacks for travelers and commuters. We've got one last convenience store chain in Japan that warrants hyping up, because if you ever make it to this one, it means you've come to wonderful Hokkaido. That's right, Seicomart is the leading regional player for konbini and Hokkaido's best-kept secret. Once you're in Hokkaido, Seicomart becomes the most common konbini to see, and for good reason. With their private brand dairy and ice cream, they place heavy emphasis on Hokkaido ingredients. Hokkaido dairy products are the most well-regarded in Japan. Seikomart's got another standout feature: their Hot Chef in-store kitchen. Hot Chef is almost like a store in-store, with fresh hot meals cooked to order, so it's not just reheated. Of course, you'd want to have quality comfort food during the harsh winters. Seicomart really delivers in that regard. Signature offerings include zangi, which is Hokkaido-styled fried chicken, and miso yakitori. Hokkaido melon items are also something to look out for, including monaka and, naturally, melon pan. If you're in Hokkaido, Seicomart will definitely feel local when paired up with the national chains, so be sure to look out for their bright orange locations. People in Hokkaido are really lucky to have this konbini chain, and I do tend to default to Seicomart when I'm in Hokkaido. You probably already know that convenience stores in Japan are not just strictly for picking up snacks and drinks. They host a full range of convenient services that tourists can also take advantage of. So here we have everything that we've done or that came to mind. Number 1. ATM withdrawals against your international debit card. Not just any brand ATM in Japan will support cash withdrawals on foreign cards, but the 7 bank ATMs located within any 7-Eleven store remain a long-standing, reliable option precisely for this need. Keep in mind that as long as you have a proper banking setup for no-fee or low-fee withdrawals, a Japanese ATM is one of the best deals available for you to get a hold of the local currency. Number 2. Pay for and pick up event and concert tickets. Most event organizations work with a particular konbini chain for ticket issuance, which is usually 7-Eleven or Lawson. Once you've secured your tickets online, go directly to the dedicated ticket machine in store with your code or your confirmation email, or ask one of the clerks for assistance to get your tickets for you. They are really helpful for this. Number 3. Specify a convenience store for delivery of your online purchase on the Japanese version of a certain well-known massive online retailer, and safely and securely pick up your package at the konbini with the cashier. We've done this dozens of times. Number 4. Luggage forwarding services. You can ensure hands-free travel by shipping your suitcases to your next hotel or to the airport, also with the help of a convenience store location. Different konbini may work with different shipping companies, so look out for that company's logo. Shipping your luggage this way is a very reliable and affordable service to use. Number 5. Your own printing, photocopying, and scanning self-service is right at the konbini. Most stores have multifunction copy machines, especially at Lawson and 7-Eleven. Print documents straight from your phone or scan something to a USB or memory card. Easy. Number 6. Tax-free shopping is also available at select konbini locations. Look out for the tax-free logo, and if your party managed to spend 5,000 yen altogether on eligible items, including consumables, go ahead and request a tax refund by presenting your passport. Isn't it amazing that konbini offer all of these additional services that we can easily get to use as visitors? It's in Japan that you get to understand the true meaning of convenience. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm going to detail how to nail every routine interaction at store registers, be it convenience, supermarkets, or any other type of store, so that you'll never have an awkward moment. You know, without any Japanese language ability, it used to be the case that using the konbini was a much simpler affair. You simply presented your items to get scanned, you paid the amount on screen, and it wasn't necessary for you to answer a single question. Everything changed with the introduction of charges for shopping bags. Clerks will now always ask if you need a bag before payment, and you will want to be sure that's what you were asked, and not something else, because there are also other scenarios that increase the complexity of this interaction for tourists, and people get tripped up all the time. Number 1. The shopping bag question. Fukuro means bag, so listen out for the word fukuro when they ask a question like, Fukuro ni oire shimasu ka? Fukuro wa irimasu ka? Fukuro tsuke shimasu ka? Or some other variation of this. The key word to listen for is fukuro, meaning bag, or the shopping bag in this case, aka reji bukuro. How to reply to that? If you do need the bag, once you hear the word fukuro, say onegai shimasu. That's yes please. If you don't need the bag, say daijoubu desu. It's fine. I'm going to ask you all to get into the habit of reusing your shopping bags and not asking for one every time. And you may also get to skip this question if you start flashing your own reused bag during the checkout. Number 2. The loyalty or point card question. you will hear Pointo kādo wa omochi desu ka? Pointo kādo wa omochi desu ka? The key phrase to listen for is Pointo kādo. You want to know if you have your loyalty card with the store. Since you're a tourist, you probably don't have loyalty set up anywhere. Listen out for Pointo kādo. How to reply to that? As soon as you hear Pointo kādo, say daijoubu desu. It's fine since you don't have loyalty. You shouldn't be getting this question at convenience stores, but you may get it at supermarkets and other national stores. Also, there's an electronic store chain where if you don't already have their free members card, they might make you sign up for one on the spot. You won't be able to daijoubu your way out of that one. Number 3. The heat up your meal question. If you bring to the register any microwavable bento or something like curry bread, the clerk will offer to heat it up for you at once in the store's microwave. To heat up is said as atatamemasu, so listen out for atate when they ask a question like Obentō o-atatame ka? O-atatame shimasu ka? Or something along those lines. How to reply to that? If you want it heated up, as soon as you hear atatame, say onegai shimasu, yes please. Move aside while waiting so the next customer can pay. If you don't need it heated right then, say daijoubu desu. No, it's fine. Number 4. The do you need chopsticks question or any other utensil. If you bring to the register something that needs chopsticks or another utensil to be able to enjoy, most of the times they'll throw those in without asking. But if they ask you, hashi means chopsticks and fork is Fōku, so listen out for the words hashi or Fōku when they ask, hashi o tsuke shimasu ka? Fōku o tsuke shimasu ka? Spoon o tsuke shimasu ka? The key word to listen for is hashi when they offer you chopsticks. How to reply to that? As soon as you hear hashi, onegai shimasu. If you're not wanting to deal with chopsticks for the salad you just picked up, feel free to request a fork instead. Say, Fōku o onegai shimasu. Fōku o onegai shimasu. Don't need utensils at all? Daijoubu desu. If you plan to eat at your hotel and you have access to cutlery, please turn down the disposable chopsticks to minimize waste. I'm confident that this recap of konbini store questions will be a handy resource for your Japan trips. I have even more very common interactions to go over, and you will certainly want to keep them in your heart because they all do come up. But before that, we want to briefly tell you how you can best support a podcast that provides value to you, because you know that with each episode that comes out, there's at least one thing proving useful for your experience of travel. We want to keep this going. Buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com. Find the link to send me a tip on the show notes, and you have my thanks for helping make Japan travel better for everyone. And now, back to the show. Number 5. The would you like a proof of purchase sticker question. If you decline your items be bagged, you may or may not be asked if you'd like proof of purchase stickers for your items. You won't get this question at the convenience store, but you can expect it at any kind of other retail store. Remember that bags offered get charged even at places like a stationery store or a merch store, which now incentivizes people to turn down bags. What will they ask when they offer you a sticker? For some reason, the sticker in Japanese is instead called a seal or Shīru. Listen out for the word Shīru when they ask, Shīru de yoroshii deshou ka? Shīru de yoroshii deshou ka? They're asking you if the sticker is good enough when you don't need a bag. The key word to listen for is Shīru, meaning sticker. How to reply to that? As soon as you hear Shīru, I don't see a reason to turn it down, especially if you're going to keep roaming around the store or going to a different floor. Reply to this one by saying hai, meaning yes. Shīru de yoroshii deshou ka? Hai. Number 6. The would you like these in separate bags question. Since bags are charged now, naturally, they will need to ask you if you'd like to purchase an extra bag if you've got hot and cold or food and non-food items and you'd like to keep them separate. Are you guys starting to see how charging for bags has complicated everything? The concept of separating in Japanese is said as owake, So listen out for the word owake when they ask, Fukuro owake shimasu ka? Fukuro owake shimasu ka? How to reply to that? As soon as you hear owake, say onegai shimasu, please, if you want the extra bag. Or say issho de daijoubu desu. Issho de daijoubu desu. If you want to keep it all in a single bag, issho means together. You want everything together. Issho de daijoubu desu. If you forget about issho, just say daijoubu and hope you don't get misunderstood for not wanting any bag at all. Number 7. The payment method question. Actually, the clerk would very rarely ask you how you intend to pay, as this is the obvious final step. If you're paying with anything other than cash, it's recommended to specify what you'll use so they can prepare the terminal. Say kādo de or IC kādo de for credit card and IC card, respectively. Even if konbini clerks don't say it, it's important to recognize the payment method question because you will definitely hear it from the automated payment machine. You will get used to hearing a pre-recorded female voice saying, "Oshiharai hoho wa ikaga desu ka?" "Oshiharai hoho wa ikaga desu ka?" Anytime you hear the key phrase, "Oshiharai hoho," that's your cue to specify payment on a machine's touchscreen, whether it's self-checkout or the ones you use at most convenience stores. Number 8. The "would you like the receipt" question. If the clerk notices that you're already turning away while your receipt is still getting printed, they might ask if you really want it. Reshito is how you say receipt in Japanese. So listen out for the word reshito when they ask, "Reshito wa yoroshii desu ka?" "Reshito wa yoroshii desu ka?" Reply with "hai" if you want it, or "daijoubu" if not. And finally, number 9. Getting called to the register after waiting in line. If you're in a busy konbini, be sure to follow the markings on the floor and be ready to hear them call the next customer in line. Dozo is Japanese for "go ahead, come on in." So listen for dozo when they say "otsugi no kata dozo," "otsugi no kyakusama dozo," or some other variation. They're calling out for the next customer in line, and you just need to step forward in this case. And with that, this has been your definitive guide to konbini and Japanese supermarkets. You should have little doubt at this point that both konbini and supa are a bona fide Japanese experience of their own, and worth exploring in depth. On one hand, the konbini, those gleaming 24/7 havens of perfectly placed snacks, endless services, and late-night convenience when you need it the most. Yet, as many visitors discover after the initial thrill, supermarkets unlock a deeper layer. Great selection, deals, customization, and nutrition. The smartest approach isn't choosing one over the other, it's embracing both. Lean on konbini for convenience and novelty. Turn to supermarkets for value and variety. Now get out there and turn even the simplest errands into a new discovery in Japan, just like we've done. This podcast is a growing project, and we are aiming to pack more content to every new episode. This is all contingent on listener support, whether it be by adding it to your podcast catcher, rating us on Apple or Spotify, or commenting and sharing the episodes. Keep in mind, though, that there is a new best way for you to spark our Japan travel insights into a regular podcast format, and that's by sending us a tip. This type of support will ensure that your favorite show keeps being done. It's really easy to tip me. Just follow the link in our show notes. My name's Johnny, and I'm signing off with your reminder to, above all, be smart, and everything else will fall in place.